Staying on with more news from the United States of America, the American President Donald Trump has signed another executive order. The latest one impacts the transgender athletes. Now, Donald Trump has signed an executive order that prevents transgender women from competing in female categories of sporting competitions. The order provides regulations and legal interpretation for the Department of Education. The jurisdiction of this order largely covers high school, universities, and grassroots sports in the United States of America. The order also empowers the Department of Education to investigate as to how schools implement Title IX, a U.S. law that bans sex determination in federally funded education programs.
We've gotten the woke lunacy out of our military. And now we're very importantly getting it out of women's sports. That's taking place very strongly. So in recent years, the radical left has waged an all-out campaign to erase the very concept of biological sex and replace it with a militant transgender ideology.
Today is another example, at the highest level in seeking position and power in the world. Watching the new president of the United States articulate complete, utter nonsense and doing complete harm to the most vulnerable communities in his own society within the boundaries of the United States, which will have generational harm long term.
An article that is published in the Neoliberal journals at the neoliberal.com. It's elementary. Women who were once men should not play in women's sports. Such women still possess or have access to their masculinity that gives them an advantage over other women born as women. Therefore, it is unfair for trans women or transgender women to compete in women's sport women's sports until the technology is available to drain them of their masculine prowess, and that can perform checks when they fail to take their hormone meds when they are competing in events to get temporary advantage. You didn't hear people talking about making those points. You didn't hear that talking point, did you?
I'm aware though.
This is how people dope. In other words, this is how there's doping where people in sports, where there's instances where people in sports are doping, taking what they call it, enhancement drugs, so that they can compete or they can repair themselves faster or whatever the case is. There are those who deny themselves. Trans women have the ability to deny themselves temporarily certain hormone treatment that minimize their testosterone. And in those moments, they are able to compete as men. And soon after those games are over, they can go right back to their treatment. Now, I don't know so if anything, we should also start testing them. If it is that they are supposed to be competing in these sports, then they have to submit themselves to certain kind of tests where we have to test immediately before games. We have to test their testosterone level.
Yes, you're pointing out some valid
And immediately, and we don't know if we have that technology. The article continues. I continue and writing that if anything, transgender women should create their own sporting category or event to evade any issue from performing in women's sports. For any issue from participating in women's sports, and to satisfy their need to compete in sports. If the transgender women promote diversity, equity, and inclusion, they should see how their participation in women's sport or in women's sports is hypocritical to that cause. Let me say that again. If transgender women promote diversity, equity, and inclusion, they should see how their participation in women's sport is hypocritical to that cause. Moreover, the recent attack on Gavin Newsom is misplaced and unfortunate. Let me give you some perspective. And it's in the news. It was in the news this evening. Recently, Gavin Newsom said on his podcast show that it is a matter of fairness. It is a matter of fairness. On the question whether or not trans women should participate in women's sport, he says it is an issue of fairness. And they attacked him, the LGBTQ people attacked him, and he has always supported diversity, equity, inclusion, and LGBTQIA. But they attacked him because of what he said, because his point seemed to be siding with those who are against trans women competing in sports, in women's sports, and the allegation that they're levying against him is this: that he does not promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. He does not promote LGBT. He does not promote trans women and so on, and the ability to perform. He's being discriminatory. But it has nothing to do with being discriminatory. They're not. So, moreover, the attack on Gavin Newsom is misplaced and unfortunate because he sides with what seems fair, which goes against your wants, not your needs and principles. If anything, Newsom's position coincides with diversity, equity, and inclusion, because DEI is about and facilitates fairness, and transgender women in women's sports is unfair and goes against DEI and the ideals of the LGBTQIA community.
It should already be a law. Okay, now
this solution is simple.
Transgender, okay, you're changing your sex. Okay, changing your sex. Is that initially changing your gender as like on your birth certificate? Like, is it are you like recreated as a different human being and with a different name and a different status?
I mean, I'm not
of sex?
Yeah, but nothing I do. If people want to recreate themselves, they can do that, but that does not give them the right to know to do things do things that where they have an advantage. That is the point.
Yeah, now I know I know a few females that are transgender and that has gotten their sex changed. They had got their transformation done, and they have changed their name and gotten a whole new ID with a female name and last name, a female first name and last name, as well as the female sex status on the ID identification card.
Okay.
So is that eligible to be recognized as a actual female identification
I
ID.
mean, the law. I mean, Donald Trump has passed a law. If you're born, well, I mean, I guess I don't know if it covers adults, but I mean,
Like, do they have any type of law that will recognize that?
sex change.
Yes, sex change and the change within your birth certificate and so forth. Like changing your name.
You know, I'm not sure what happens when someone changes their sex or their gender. I'm not sure what the legal.
Yes.
I mean, it's easy to find out. We can check it right now. We can check right now. I can check the law right away. But I will allow if you're listening to the show, you can check and let us know. Let us know what it is. What does the law say? And when we come back later on this, we will probably talk about it some more because the conversation surrounding this will not end. It's not going to end as abruptly. It won't end as yet. I mean, it's still open. But
they are trying to.
But I think the law recognizes
to live a normal life that fits them. So.
Yeah, but hold on. But I must make this point. Can I make this point?
I hope it will.
May I make this point?
Very soon, but it don't.
May I make this
point? A lot of backlash towards it.
Towards what?
In transgender, LGBT, LGBTQ.
This is the point I would like to make. Fairness, equity, inclusion, diversity does not mean we must allow the inclusion of everyone willy-nilly in the name of diversity, equity, and inclusion. That may not sound right, but let me clarify, and I want you to understand what I'm saying. Because I promote diversity, equity, and inclusion, and because I might support people, I might support liberal policies. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to promote the decision to include someone somewhere where it gives them a disadvantage.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Hold on. Do you understand the point? The point is not whether or not I support these people changing their sex. The problem is whether or not them changing their sex and engaging in the normal in life gives them an advantage over others. That now puts those people at a disadvantage. Now then, that becomes a problem.
Yeah,
because I must protect. So you cannot promote. There has to be a balance.
In activities.
There has to be a balance.
If they want to interact in sports, where are they placed?
To prevent trans women from participating in women's sport does not suggest that we are discriminating against them. And maybe it does, but in this case, it is good discrimination because you have to discriminate against them in order to protect the majority.
Well, it's all how you see things and present things, and they have been presenting and directing bad rap against LGBTQ and community and transgender and in general. Like,
the solution is simple.
Just for being a human being, just for being unique.
The solution is simple.
Already. So now
we are not having an argument about.
Now we're trying to get into sports, and it's going to be hard because some of us we we know that this is not our form, so we're transforming into our form, and now we're trying to engage into these sports activities and everything, and I can't because I'm not the sex of this. I'm not the sex of this game, so I can't play.
Let me ask you a question.
So you're telling me I would have to go back, reform myself
Let me ask you a
into my
question.
old self
Let me ask you a question.
that's not comfortable with to engage.
Let me ask
Now, I'm
you.
just putting myself into their shoes. This is how they are speaking.
Let me
And
ask
this
you.
is not me. This is how they are speaking. I'm trying to put myself in their shoes. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Because either way, it's not.
What's going to be hard?
It's for them to have.
Why is it hard?
It's going to be hard for them to have. Validation to what they're trying to do by the statue. Oh, I'm losing my train of thought.
That's fine. The reason why I ask you why is it so hard, the thing is, why is it so hard for them? But the question is, why is it also hard for others? The trans women must ask themselves that question. They must put themselves in the shoes of those who they are competing against, and see how they create a distraction for the sport and for those competing. Okay, how not only that, it creates a loophole, because just as I said to you, this is how people can easily dope, so that they can. It also people who right now, as the science people, and there's still a lot of science we don't know about trans women, the biology and how it works. But what we know is there is a lot of testosterone management. Okay, we know that in men have a high level of testosterone, but they have progesterone and estrogen, but they have high levels of testosterone that give them that advantage. Women don't. But trans women, when they change from men to women, they take medication that limits the testosterone. But in many instances, they don't. And sometimes the medication doesn't work, and then you have to take it twice per day. And if you miss a dose, that you don't have a permanent pill that permanently restricts their testosterone or manages their testosterone levels, so that their masculine their testosterone is higher than their progesterone and their estrogen. It's not a permanent pill. So I defeat the whole field. Okay, and so, well, no, that's a moral issue. No, you can't really base your argument. No, yes, because we have to. Part of creating things is to ensure that there are no loopholes, and if loopholes, you get rid of it. The loopholes is that, trans women create a loophole for themselves that other women don't have. Okay, that creates a bias for them. So therefore, you know what? That's the argument. That is what the argument.
How do they create the loopholes for them?
I mean, because I already said to you, when you look at trans women and their biology, okay, there is. I said to you, there's a lot we don't understand, but what we know is that there's no permanent pill, and you have to take medication. You have to do hormone management.
Yeah, good shot.
And if you don't take, and if you are participating in a sport, then you may miss your dose 2 times, 3 days, 4 days, which may elevate your testosterone level for that brief moment and give you that advantage when you're running. And then as soon as the race is over, you go back to your hormone treatment.
Yes, treatment. Yes.
Your hormone treatment. That's it, hormones. Okay, you understand? That's the loophole I'm talking about. Anyway, so I have said the solution is simple. create an opportunity for trans women to play in sports where they have their own category or sporting events and they compete against each other. Now, what's wrong with that? Why not come up with something we all can agree on instead of forcing the issue? No, I mean, huh?
Well,
They say, oh, trans women they want to also participate in sport. Who is preventing them from participating in sports? We don't want them to participate in women's sports where they have a clear advantage or have the opportunity to do so where other women don't. That is the argument. That is what we're saying.
yeah, I never put down your argument. I was just pointing out a fact. Well, just pointing out a view from another visual that we are not looking through as well, but it's going to be a fight with the oh my
You're trans women, transgender.
No, the oh my gosh.
First of all the courts are,
for us.
the judiciary or the courts are siding with the idea that women should not be in, trans women should not be in women's sports anyway. So
that's gonna
yeah. So you agree that trans women should not
be a hard case.
So you agree that
them.
trans women should not play in women's sports?
Yes, they should not. No.
Why is it so easy for you to see that? Have you always had that position?
No. Now, individuals, they are changing their sex. Okay. Now, there's not a law that's telling an individual that they cannot change their sex. Granted. So, with that being said, there's still not a law stating that, well, I don't know, and I believe it probably is, and I have to look. And if there is, I have to pull it up and make it known. But
the question was, if you have always had this position. You said that you do. I said this is very easy for you. It's very easy for you. You believe that they should not participate in women's sport, and I ask you, why is it so easy for you? And whether or not you've always had that thought. Whether or not you've always had that thought. You said you haven't always had that thought. Yes. And you were saying, when trying to explain when you came to this position.
I've always had that thought. But I understood, and I had put myself into the LGBTQ community shoes and understood and felt how it affects them, because they want to live. They want to still go along with the world, with being them true selves, and that's engaging in sports and so forth, and that's being them.
So do you think this prevents them from engaging in sports by saying that they cannot?
It's going to be hard for them to try to do certain things, and they are not able to because of a transformation that they have done. And there's a law that's being implemented to say that males play male games and females play female games. There's no no, there's no transgender on either side. Correct?
All right, yeah, okay, yeah. Male play with male, female play with female. That's always been the case.
Right.
All of a sudden, trans women want to put a wrench in it and say, okay,
Now,
women play with women,
I respect it.
women have always played with women.
But
But now you have men who
going to
become
be
women.
hard with those key points, like the testosterone, like the masculinity, like the strongness. Like it's just.
But for trans women, they're playing. The ability to play in women's sport is a validation
it's
for
a
them.
lot that they.
Yep, right. The ability to
trying to
play,
fight for,
the ability to
and
play. Do you think it's a
I don't
validation
think
for
it's
them?
going to work
Do you
in
think
their
it's a
favor.
validation for them though? The ability to play in women's sports is a validation for them. In a
Right,
sense,
right.
it's as if to be able to play, the ability to be able to play in women's sport is not. It's just as if they have realized what they've always wanted to be, what they've always wanted to become, what they've been doing. They have wanted to become to become women, and now they are playing in women's sports. That's the.
But-
it's the biggest thing for them, and now they are being denied that.
Yeah, but and another thing I was speaking about in transgender women. There's transgender men that I was leaving out.
But why would they want to seek validation in women's sports, though? In order for them to realize, and how in a world that, I mean, if they will forever be seen as mechanical, or I don't know how to. I mean, I don't want to say the wrong thing and be bashed or be called a misogynist, but I can't be called a misogynist. Well, I mean, no. You know what I mean. It's ironic, misogynist.
It was ironic.
But misogynist is, misogynist is a woman hater, really. And then, of course, women are no men. So, I mean, they said I'm hating on trans women. So, what's the word for that? I mean, but I'm not hating on them. I'm trying to philosophically, and I'm a critical thinker. I have to be true to that. And I'm true to fairness as well. I promote fairness. I'm against income inequality, but I'm also against any kind of inequality. I'm against any kind of inequality. Or unfairness or advantage. So I cannot sit here and promote trans women in women's sports, because from where I'm sitting, it looks as if they will forever have an advantage. And unless you show me where you don't have an advantage, or where you don't have access, where other women do, where you don't have access, where other women also don't have access. They don't have access. Show me where you don't, where you are limited completely by your hormone. You cannot.
I have nothing more to say.
This is the Neoliberal
I don't want to
podcast.
say too much. I love my community with every bone in my body.
This is the
But-
Neoliberal podcast. I'm talking with Donte Nelson here, sharing an article and expanding or elaborating or extrapolating on an article that I wrote earlier, entitled, what was the title of the article? It's elementary. Yeah, it's elementary. Trans women should not play in women's sports. That's the title. It's elementary. Trans women should not play in women's sports. Renaldo McKenzie, the Neoliberal podcast. Please subscribe on any stream. We're also on YouTube at Renaldo McKenzie. Visit us at theneoliberal.com and renaldocmckenzie.com. Also, the renaldocmckenzie.blogspot.com. You can donate to us by going to anchor.fm/theneoliberal/support. Please get your copy of my book, Neoliberalism, Globalization, Income Inequality, Poverty and Resistance, available at store.theneoliberal.com. Give me a call at 445-260-9198. Follow me on Twitter or message me on Facebook, Reddit or LinkedIn, Renaldo McKenzie. This is the Neoliberal Corporation. We're all about serving the world today to solve tomorrow's challenges by making popular what was the monopoly. And please remember that you can check out our store page and get and check out our Ant Business Solutions, where we provide IT solutions, web design, and other web services. Donte, co-producer, co-host, thank you for making the Neoliberal work good.
Thank you, man. For your great mind.